Ob Zenobia wieder der Macht verfällt.
It was all so unfair. He'd wanted to protect himself, protect the world from the Iblestone's hunger for blood and souls. And all he'd done is get mugged. Next time he owned a supernatural artifact that wanted tribute, he'd serve it champagne and caviar.
Nee, das nächste Mal muss ich mich dann nochmal durchkämpfen und die dritte Option nehmen. Oh je, oh je.
Zenobia was cleaning blood off her sword and weeping. It's so hungry. I can't stop killing, she said. But I fed it the core of the Sky Ripper, and now he's hungry again. She wept. It was true. The Iblestone was black again, a void that seemed to suck all the light out of the sky. Take it from me, Renato, while you still can. Okay. I'll take it, he said. Yes, he thought. This is what it means to be a hero. To save the soul of even his old enemy when it looked like all was lost. He stepped forward to accept the sword from her outstretched hand.
Und
She
sie
flipped the
durchbohrt mich.
sword, and the blade went into his gut. As the Iblestone sucked his soul into its infinite darkness, he could vaguely hear a voice, something like Zenobia's chuckle. Sucker. Oh. Again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Geschichte 16. Der Fuchs, der überfallen wurde. Ein Held, der bis zum Ende kämpft, selbst wenn er gedemütigt wird. Ist so. Aber, ich habe es ja gesagt, wir haben noch eine dritte Option mit dem Iblisstein und dem Kern. Und ich gehe allen nach, das ist Deutsch. Also gibt es jetzt erstmal einen Cut und dann sind wir gleich wieder da. Oh, eigentlich hätte ich es gar nicht überspringen müssen, das ging ganz schnell. Ich musste ja nur den Iblisstein holen. Da ich beide Sky Ripper Kern Optionen durch habe. Ein kluger Plan, um das Juwel zu benutzen. Der Iblisstein. Er versprach große Macht, aber Renato wusste, dass er für diese Macht bezahlen musste. Warte mal, war da noch was? Stimmt. Wir konnten damit zu den Kröten gehen. Ja, stimmt. Aber das Gehäuse können wir ganz schnell holen. Jetzt hätte ich fast komplett was verpasst.
It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sell for Zenobia's island.
Stimmt.
He frowned. Wait a minute. He
Ich
didn't
bin
want
ein
to kill Zenobia, did he?
Dämlack.
Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at sword food school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about us. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Look, it's not personal, but you all smell terrible.
Mein Fernseher will sich ausschalten. Ich sehe nichts. Bin ich schneller? Ich bin schneller.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his
Leck
arm.
mich am Arsch. Das war jetzt lustig.
Whispered the stone. The core will kill you. Are you afraid of it? No, don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you so much as carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. Already, Renato knew more than he ever had. But about what?
So.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical.
Ich will das
He had
überspringen.
defeated the
Danke.
demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Not very wise. Um Rat zu bitten kostet nichts. Man kann ja immer noch weghören. Mit Hilfe des Skyripper-Kerns gelang es Renato, den Iblisstein verstummen zu lassen und gleichzeitig seine Kraft auszuschöpfen. Es wäre sicher klug, die Konsequenzen seiner Handlungen zu verstehen. Die Nexus-Wissenschaftler konnten bestimmt helfen.
As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus,
Das hatte ich
Renato watched
vergessen.
sparks fly out of the core. The Iblis stone sucked them in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. This time, Renato was sure he'd figured out how to use the core safely.
Aha. Interessant, interessant. Gut. Wahrscheinlich nicht, aber interessant.
See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the oddmakers and do what you knew was right
Kann
and
später
have it turn
aufleveln.
out
Da
to be
gibt's
the
noch so
right
eine
thing.
Statue.
He wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he?
Nur ein bisschen. Ich muss nur den einen Punkt finden, an dem ich darüber komme, bei den Explosionsschiffen.
Renato had never felt better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all day. He felt like people were cheering him on and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another. Imperial fleet was closing in on the rebels, forcing them to come out and fight. Renato was itching to bring the fight to the enemy. He had to remind himself not to be too reckless.
Da drüben. Ich weiß, dass da drüben eins ist, verdammt nochmal.
Energy cannons. The last argument of kings.
Und ich habe schon wieder verpasst. Meine Fresse. Ah, das ist echt mies. Langsam habe ich echt keine Lust mehr. Muss das nächste Mal online nachlesen, wie ich da hinkomme. Einfach. Gefühlt ist das letzte Pergament, das uns fehlt, glaube ich. So, Wissenschaftler, was habt ihr zu sagen?
The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky Ripper, explained Renato. No more feeding blood and souls.
But the core is not an unlimited energy source,
said one toad. Another said,
there's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. The stone doesn't actually feed on souls,
claimed a third.
but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload.
This was all very confusing. At peace? Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle.
Frieden schließen. Ja, das ergab beinahe Sinn. Der Kern schützte Renato vor dem düsteren Einfluss des Iblissteins, aber zu viele Tote würden diesen überladen. Er musste inneren Frieden finden, sein Gleichgewicht behalten. Aber die Möglichkeit, dass der Kern überladen werden könnte, war nicht gerade beruhigend. Vielleicht konnte Renato versuchen, im Nu seinen inneren Frieden zu finden und dann rechtzeitig die Rebellion zu retten. Er musste sich in die Berge aufmachen.
The one thing he understood from all the Toad arguments. Maybe the stone did not feed on blood, or souls, or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him. If he could find peace, then he could use the power of the Iblis stone without being taken over by its evil. Yes, that was the way to defeat the Iblis stone. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there.
Oder ich finde Zenobia, die mich schon wieder mit Gas überschüttet.
Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it. Not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Oh, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeling the Iblis stone.
Ah, ich hasse diese explodierenden Pissnelken. King ist schon wieder freiwillig in den Tod gesprungen.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out.
Hätte ich hier hin müssen. Calaveras nimmt sich das Ding jetzt wahrscheinlich selber und wird zum Riesenarschloch. Oder er baut mir wieder eine Waffe, die explodiert.
The Iblis Stone, silenced by the Sky Ripper's core, had given Renato enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. But what Renato was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction, but it would have to wait.
Erhöht die Geschwindigkeit, aber nicht die Länge. Ja, gut, das erhöht meine Wurfdistanz. Warum nicht? Ey, du alter nutzloser Frosch.
At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. To fix souls or only artifacts? He asked the sage.
Does your soul need fixing?
Asked the sage. I've been killing a lot of ravens lately, he told the sage.
You're a fox,
said Calaveras.
To kill birds is part of your nature. There's joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Would you like a fly?
It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle.
Oh, jetzt habe ich Freude am Töten.
Through the clouds. The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child.
Ich werde alles umbringen.
The dreaded Imperial fleet. He could smell wet hemp ropes ahead, wood and tar and ravens. Even the fleet smelled good somehow. He was ready. He was ready.
Touch my tralala.
Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Reynardo. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Reynardo could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Reynardo would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain.
Das wird bestimmt so gut klappen.
Reynardo had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what? But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief. Grief would lead to hatred. We must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how?
Was zum Teufel war das? Es sah cool aus, aber... Oh.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
Wie scheitern wir denn dieses Mal?
Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples. No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head. I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Reynardo's head as it rolled around the deck and died.
Ehrlich.
Again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way.
Geil.
What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Rückkehr des Hippies. Ein Held, der über das Heldentum hinauswächst, um eins zu werden mit allem. Gab sogar ein Level-Up, ey. Geil. Ja, diesmal die Kröten, also die Wissenschaftskröten und dann Außenposten. Und da sind wir angekommen. Ich muss mich entschuldigen, ich bin ein Dämlack, mal wieder. Diese vermaledeite Schriftrolle, die haben wir schon einmal gelesen, und zwar, wenn wir am Anfang durch die blaue Tür gegangen sind. Ich habe einfach nur die Kanone nicht erkannt. Da geht es hier um die Zeit und um die Götter und keine Ahnung. Wir haben es auf jeden Fall schon gesehen. Hab mir umsonst blöde Gedanken gemacht. Der Kernschütze Renato. Warte mal, Frieden schließen? Nein, die Rebellion brauchte ihn. Der Kern schützte Renato vor dem düsteren Einfluss des Iblissteins, aber zu viele Tote würden diesen überladen. Er musste inneren Frieden finden, sein Gleichgewicht behalten. Aber es dauert seine Zeit, Frieden zu finden, und die Rebellion war gefährdet. Renato musste sich auf seine Mission konzentrieren und die Rebellion retten, solange es noch möglich war. Zum Rebellenstützpunkt. Sofort.
Renato couldn't make sense of anything the Toads said, and listening to them argue made him restless. The Iblis Stone had made him a power in his own right. The core had kicked the Iblis Stone out of his head by filling it with more power than it could eat. It was time to meet the leadership of the rebellion. It was time to go to the ruins, where they had hidden their secret base.
Wehe, die setzen mich schon wieder Alkohol aus.
He was ready for anything the Ravens could throw at him. His sword felt ready too. It seemed to know what he wanted most.
Gibt noch nicht mal eine Trophäe, wenn man alle Schriftrollen gelesen hat. Ist ja auch noch das Traurige dran.
The Iblis Stone wasn't pestering him anymore. Good. He didn't want to chit-chat, not with anybody. He didn't want to think about Zenobia or Lapino. He just wanted to fight.
This was almost fun. Pain of killing another sentient being? What was that Toad talking about anyway? He felt no pain, only pleasure as each filthy raven fell by his sword and the stone glowed brighter and brighter. And all the while, those voices were cheering him on, like he was in the arena, winning bout after bout.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
So, gebt ihr mir jetzt wieder Alkohol? Oder haben wir mal ein anderes Ende?
He slew and slew across the ruins and into the labyrinth that hid the secret rebel base.
Oh, sag mir nicht, ich hab die Rebellen
Surprised not to see any
abgeschlachtet.
defenders or even any of the council toads. When he reached the council chambers, there were still no toads, only filthy ravens.
Stop him!
Aha.
He's gone mad! One raven shouted until he had hacked them all down. There was not a single toad anywhere. No doubt they'd all been taken prisoner, so it was up to him to take revenge upon the Imperial fleet.
But where had they taken the council? It couldn't be good that the Empire had not only found the secret rebel base, but killed or captured everyone there. No matter. He was on a roll. He headed full speed towards the Imperial fleet. He would be the fox who took down 100 warships. He charged.
Ich denke, ihr wisst alle genau, was da passiert ist. Er hat einfach die Kröten als Raben wahrgenommen und alle niedergemetzelt.
The Imperial fleet was huge and deadly.
Fun.
But he was deadlier.
The crowd was cheering him on. He could practically hear it. Reynardo, the hero of the rebellion.
So, gehen wir wieder hier rein. Nicht zu viele Kämpfe.
There it was again. The back door to the portal that went to the center of the fleet. As he slew his way across the fleet, Reynardo thought he could hear a small voice whispering in his ear. "Look at your gauntlet, you idiot," it said.
Oh, for heaven's sake, he thought. Can I be alone in my own head? Look at the stone. I'm busy, he told the voice. Talk later. And it will be too late, cried the voice. Don't be so bloody thick. Piss off, he told the voice and kept up his slaying.
Der Stein ist nicht mehr blau wahrscheinlich. Sie werden sich alle ergeben.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? There was the Emperor. Reynardo cut down his elite guard. The exalted Toad cowered fearfully. He had sought to evade death and only made death come to him faster. Reynardo savored the moment. And then, too quick, it was over. He stood over the dead Emperor.
Death to tyranny, he shouted. Go, House, go! Zenobia stepped out of the shadows. You have to stop, she said. You've killed everyone. Our ravens, your rebels. You murdered the whole rebel council. What? Oh, the ravens killed the council. Yeah, big idiot. They don't even know what the secret base is. Shouted Lapino, who was with her for some reason. Look at the stone, said Zenobia. It was black as night. Blacker. But I fed it the core, said Reynardo. It was glowing. Well, who needs a core? He said, and he attacked. Zenobia conjured her best, and Lapino hopped around like a mad rabbit, but he killed them both easily. I am unstoppable, he orated at the blood-soaked walls. I alone shall be emperor. The tiny voice inside him screamed, that doesn't even sound like you, you big fanny. The stone has stolen your mind. But he ignored it. Who listens to voices in their heads anyway?
Randy Orton.
Madmen, that's who.
Sag das nicht so laut, ey, sonst gibt's einen Erklärung.
Again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Ohne Schweiß kein Preis. Geschichte 14. Ein Held, der seine eigene Sicherheit ignoriert, um frohen Herzens für die Rebellion zu kämpfen. Ja. 4 Enden fehlen uns noch und die Wahrheit. Bin gespannt, was uns als nächstes erwartet.